All right, so Agent OS and Hermes Agent are not the same kind of tool, and that's exactly what makes this comparison so interesting. Hermes Agent won 9 tests to 0 across 4 dimensions I actually tested, and that number stopped me cold right now. Teams are picking agent platforms and locking in fast, so getting this wrong is expensive. I'm comparing Agent OS versus Hermes Agent across 4 real tests: orchestration, tool integration, latency, and pricing, and everything traces back to verified sources with no vendor money involved. And honestly, what surprised me most is that one of these tools isn't even trying to compete on most of these dimensions. And that changes everything about how you should be thinking about this decision. So this comparison is for you if you're building AI-powered workflows and you need to pick a foundation, whether you're a developer already running Claude Code or Cursor, or you're spinning up an autonomous agent runtime from scratch. Either way, the wrong pick costs you weeks of rework, and I want to help you avoid that. Okay, test 1, multi-agent orchestration reliability. This one matters a lot because if your agents are dropping tasks mid-chain with 0 logging, you're basically flying blind in production. The real question is which platform actually gives you orchestration infrastructure you can trust when things go sideways. So here's what the data shows. Hermes Agent version 0.6.0 ships an actual orchestrator worker pattern with 3 concurrents of agents by default and verified handoffs before any task gets marked complete. Agent OS is a standards alignment layer, so it doesn't do orchestration at all by design. And honestly, that's fine. It's just built for a totally different purpose. Hermes Agent takes this one, and it's not really close because it ships real orchestration infrastructure where Agent OS simply doesn't attempt it. That puts a score at Agent OS 0, Hermes Agent 1, and the gap on this dimension is already pretty clear. Now, I want to be honest here. Scoring Agent OS low on orchestration is a little bit like docking a linter for not being a compiler because it was never built for this job. And even Hermes isn't perfect because children can't share state with each other yet, so true multi-agent coordination is still on the roadmap for GitHub issue 344. So take this win with a grain of salt. Test 2, tool integration, breadth, and ease. This one matters because the best agent runtime in the world is useless if you can't connect it to the tools your team already uses, whether that's GitHub, Slack, a browser, or a custom internal API. So how many doors does each platform open out of the box? Hermes ships 40 plus built-in skills, 5 chat platforms including Telegram, Discord, and Slack, 11 image generation models, and 4 execution backends. Agent OS ships markdown files. That's it. 0 built-in skills by design. And I'll say the markdown approach is intentional. It works with any AI coding tool and has 0 dependencies, which is genuinely useful in the right context. Hermes Agent takes this test too because it's a full runtime with real integrations where Agent OS is a layer on top of whatever you already have. That makes the score Agent OS 0, Hermes Agent 2, and the pattern is pretty consistent so far. Okay, but I want to flag something. Community reports say plugging custom tools into Hermes is reportedly a nightmare once you leave the happy path. Agent OS's 0 dependency markdown approach actually wins on flexibility if your team already has an orchestration layer and just needs the tools talking to each other from the same spec. So it really depends on your starting point. Test 3, latency for agent task execution. This one matters because slow agents aren't just annoying, they're expensive. And every extra second an agent spends waiting is token costs and wall clock time you're paying for. So which platform actually moves fast when you're literally hammering it with real tasks? Honestly, this one's hard to call. Hermes has community reported data showing 10 plus seconds per response unoptimized with up to 90% reduction possible and about a 4.8 times throughput gain using Asyncio.gather. But these are community blog numbers from Tree Router and Market Code, not news research directly. Agent OS has 0 published latency figures, so a real comparison just isn't possible here. This test is a tie, and I mean that honestly, not as a cop-out, because there's no apples to apples comparison possible when one side has no published data. So the score stays at Agent OS 0, Hermes Agent 2, with 1 tied, and we've got 1 test nobody can actually score. And look, the 90% latency reduction claim for Hermes sounds really impressive, but I take it with a grain of salt because those numbers come from community blogs, not official benchmarks, and your results are going to depend heavily on which model you're running, your hardware, and your task type. This is one of those things where you really need to get your hands dirty and test it yourself. Test 4, pricing transparency and token cost control. This one matters because hidden costs kill agent projects faster than bad architecture does. And if you can't see what you're spending per session or per task, you can't budget, you can't optimize, and you can't justify the tool to anyone else on your team. Hermes Agent is MIT licensed, so the platform itself is free, and self-hosting runs a few dollars to about $25 a month for a VPS plus your model tokens, with a built-in analytics panel showing tokens used, tool calls, and peak hours. Agent OS has no published pricing and no published cost control tooling at all, so there's nothing to compare on that side. Hermes Agent takes this test because it's free, it's transparent, and it gives you actual token visibility, where Agent OS publishes nothing. That puts the final score at Agent OS 0, Hermes Agent 3, with 1 tied. And honestly, the pricing dimension is the clearest gap across all 4 tests. So here's where Agent OS actually wins. If your team already has an orchestration layer and you just need Claude Code, Cursor, Windsurf, and Codex all working from the same spec, Agent OS does that job cleanly with 0 dependencies, no setup, no lock-in. It's got 5.1 thousand GitHub stars and 811 forks. So real people are using it for exactly this purpose. And Hermes Agent wins pretty much everywhere else. It ships real orchestrator worker infrastructure with 3 concurrent sub-agents, verified handoffs, 40 plus built-in skills, 5 chat platforms, and 4 execution backends. It's MIT licensed with 0 platform fees, model neutral across 200 plus providers, and the built-in analytics panel gives you actual token visibility. That's a full runtime, not a layer. So here's the decision rule. If you already have an orchestration layer and you just need your AI coding tools aligned on the same standards, go with Agent OS. It's genuinely the right tool for that job. If you need an agent runtime from scratch with real orchestration, built-in integrations, and cost visibility, Hermes Agent is the obvious pick, and it's free.